It's DBJ, DeVabry and Jackson, and welcome to the Writer's Room. This is my attempt to pimp myself, to tell you about the things that that I have had my part in helping to write, and of course, I'm letting you know this up front. So those of you that have me on your, daily inspiration or something like that, if you don't want to hear me hawk materials, you can definitely cut it off. Anyway, of course, in the notes and everything, the Writer's Room, this is me telling you about those things that I help produce. This can be obtained on Drive-Thru-RPG in its physical form or PDF, and Cinematic Environs. That is my name even on here? Yeah, bam! That's me. Anyway, this is the first of many. I will say that it was a learning experience to write this one, as there are many others that have come after it, including those such as the desert environments, mountains, thanks Captain Gothnog, and of course the aerial environments, as well as many others. Okay, but let's get back to specifics. Let's talk about what they are and why it exists. So this is going to be the first video where I'm really going to ramble around, because I felt that there was something missing in Dungeons and Dragons, specifically 5th edition, when they talked about the 3 pillars. And I know I'm misquoting this in their paperwork, but the 3 pillars include combat, exploration, and social encounters. And in very generalized, those are your 3 role-playing elements that make up the triangle of interaction in your games. And one of the things that I felt was missing was the exploration of the environment. Now, I don't mean just going into a dungeon and looking for secret doors and avoiding, pit traps, but it was the environment itself. Now, to give you a clue of what sparked this for me was, in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, there are creatures that have lair actions. And those lair actions, essentially it creates this mystical, or like this area that this creature lives in, that is conducive to allowing them an advantage because they are on their home turf, right? So imagine like a red dragon living in a volcano, and the volcano erupts and sends out globs of lava at the player characters that they have to dodge around, or maybe the dragon lives in a cave, and the cave starts to collapse a little bit from the dragon's, large girth just moving around and shaking the floors, and the player characters have to dodge that, as well as the actual creature itself, giving them an advantage, and also making an obstacle for the players in addition to the creature. So I took that and was like, well, that exists in the regular world. I mean, it snows and rains, and you can fight on hilltops and in caves and underwater and in swamps and hanging from trees and on cliff sides and all that. Why doesn't that exist? Maybe I should try to create it myself. So, with the help of Captain Gothnog and Rob the Swamper, Critical Hit Publishing has produced these and many other things. Okay, but I'm going to speak on what I helped write, for good or bad. And the first book here are Arctic Lands. And inside of this book, which you want to open up, inside of this book are detailed some common traits and such that environments that you can go through. Now, I'm not going to give everything away, but in here we have like Arctic conditions, and those Arctic conditions detail common things that you're going to find in the cold. For example, one of my favorite, and this was a thing that sparked the top of my head when I first started thinking about it. Using liquids, potions, elixirs, salves in the Arctic. Probably not. Or would they work? Right? So, player characters get attacked by winter wolves. They stop, defeat the winter wolves. Player character says, I'm going to drink my potion of healing. Game master says, no, because it's like an icy. Player character goes, oh? Oh, tofu? Yeah, nah. Or does it work? Do they have to heat it over a fire? Can they just let the ice melt in their mouth and it heals them? Is it only half power? That's up to you, but the idea is to allow the environment to affect what's going on. Hey, the player character, who's a pyromancer, casts his fireball and kills the winter wolves and melts the ice. Melts the snow, turning it into what? Liquid for a short time, and then it'll freeze into a icy, slick environment, probably, and throw that into your game. Alright? So, in here are details such as avalanches. Don't want to cast those thunder wave spells. How about a blizzard? Imagine fighting, Yeti, winter adapted bugbears, maybe a winter adapted displacer beast. My favorite creature. All white in the blizzard. Somebody getting pulled away. Maybe a Yeti grabs one of the player characters and drags them off. Can you see him? Hell no. Ice cliffs. You want to climb one of those? You probably don't want to do that. Okay. Even ice crevices. Fall down to the bottom. Okay, so fighting on top of a frozen lake. Anybody who, okay, yes, people have seen The Hobbit, although I think you should probably check out the fight in the middle to last portion of the movie. I think it was called King Arthur with Clive Owen, and there's this huge fight on an ice frozen over lake, and it's really great. Needless to say, one of the characters sacrifices themselves to take his great axe and splits down the middle of the ice-covered lake, turning it into ice flows and having it crash in, and people are trying to float on them. Have fights in those areas. Have battles in those, because if every fight is you walk in on an open field, there's nothing around, roll initiative, fight the creature, okay, done. Next one, you come across another creature on an open field, there's nothing around, roll initiative. It gets very boring. But, everything from raging rivers to, using a raging river, maybe a player character drowns someone, how awesome would it be for a rogue to jump behind somebody and make them trip and fall, or a monk and have them trip and fall, and then they start to drown. Flow down river. You don't need to take their hit points out. Not if their rear end's floating down river in heavy plate mail or something like that, or even crossing the endless tundra. There's even rules in here for frostbite and, like I was saying, frozen potions, razor ice storms, black cold, leaving tracks, trying to sleep and be uncomfortable. How about rules for short and long rests? You ever try to get a good night's sleep in the winter inside of a tent? It's not comfortable. And of course, at the very end, we have our appendix. And in our appendix, we like to add lots of things. Not just we. Not just me, but we. In here is the Arctic Born. I can't really see it on this video. But the Arctic Born is another background. And in each of our books, we do have another background. And we have plenty of equipment. New equipment, from snowshoes to using a hide to protect yourself from the cold, and even something as mundane but as cool as snow goggles, or even a sunstone. Magic item, a sunstone. You can't really see it, I'm sure, but doesn't matter. Anyway, DBJ, pick up Arctic Lands. on Drive-Thru RPG. And please check out Critical Hit Publishing, as well as Captain Gothnog and Rob the Swamper. Support it or talk to somebody else who's got an opinion about it. I'll give more details in the writer's room with other books as how these are written and how I organize them. But for now, I went on far too long in the beginning of this video. As always, create, don't destroy. For those of you who've watched some or not watched some of my videos, I'm hoping to get back into the swing of things, and I'm appreciative of all those who have seen me and said, you know what, he's got something to say, or at least maybe, keep your day from being boring. Anyway, DBJ, DeVabrian Jackson, and I'm out. Thanks, guys.